Well, today's supposed to be day 2 of the ANC Youth League's elective conference at Nasrec. But of course, we know that this conference has been delayed and the registration process has been delayed. And there's been already so much drama. And Fikile Mbalula, the Secretary General of the ANC, is still to open the elective conference. I'm joined now by Rebone Tau, political analyst. Of course, you've been following this the whole day. You've also been talking to my colleague, Marcel Gordon, about the ANC Youth League conference taking place. Now, Rebone, of course, we know that there's a lot of talk about autonomy from the ANC Youth League. Let's talk about this autonomy and how you see this playing out. Do they have autonomy or do they not have autonomy? Or is it like Fikile Mbalula says, only after this conference they will actually have autonomy?
I mean, this is also what Mzwanile Masina said yesterday, which for me was a bit, surprising, because I served with Mzwanile Masina in the National Task Team of the Youth League when we were appointed in 2013. We had the autonomy, the ANC was not interfering in the manner that they're interfering. I don't even recall the ANC telling us that you'll have the autonomy after the conference, but today they are clear that they will only have the autonomy on Sunday, So the question is that why is the ANC interfering to this extent and not allowing young people to play it out amongst themselves and not want to dictate in terms of processes, of the youth league? Because I think that when they appointed those young people to serve in the task team, and actually now recently when they removed the former convener, Nongceba and Joy, most of them who actually were brought in are actually former leaders of the Youth League. So it was a mixture, because they took a lot of members of parliament to come and serve, and help this young people to go to the elective conference, and now all of a sudden they are not allowed. Let's
talk about Nongceba, because there's been a lot of talk around him. What happened there in the Eastern Cape exactly with that conference? And there's been a lot of controversy around that conference specifically, and now that's the reason why he's not, Tola, sorry, let's talk about Tola. There's a reason why he is not now, why Fikile basically said, he can't be part of this conference. So what happened there? Talk about that drama.
I think also what has been interesting, which I observed yesterday when I was at the conference venue, the coordinator of the Youth League was nowhere to be seen to engage with the media, because ordinarily you'd expect the SG to be the one presenting the status also of conference. Now, there's an issue about an audit report that was not sanctioned or signed that this Congress in Eastern Cape should go ahead. But this is not about actually the Youth League in the Eastern Cape. This is about 2027, as I said earlier on. And they're saying that a particular group, which is actually a Chris centered, around a figure named Apiwe. Apiwe, who is contesting to be the president of the Youth League, is from a Chris region. You have Ngudlu, who's from the OR Tambo region, who is contesting to be under the presidency of Colin Malachi, to be the Secretary General. And then you have people like Stella Ndabeni, who are also very central in this thing. And I can tell you, I spoke to some NEC members even up in this morning just to get a sense, and they were saying Stella Ndabeni it's got so much vested interest in this Congress. And there's Ngudla is her boy and so forth. So you have that playing out because of 2027. It's alleged that Stella Ndabeni has got interest to be in the top 7 of the ANC in 2027. So by all means, she has to make sure that her boy emerges as the Secretary General so that he can deliver her in 2027. So it's said that the ANC now, when we saw the letter in the social media that the Secretary General did not sanction for that Congress to sit, like, where are the powers? What is the role then of the coordinator of the Youth League? If the Secretary General is the one to sanction. And I don't think, by the way, what they're doing to the Youth League, they're doing to the Women's League, because you must remember that the Women's League is going to the East Conference next month, also around I think the 14th of July, which will also be taking place in Nasrec. So it seems like the Youth League is a playing field for former leaders of the Youth League who don't want to let go of the Youth League, but still want to use it as a lobby group. And I want us to go back. If you recall, under Julius Malema, the two people who today are seen to be at the center of this thing, Mdu Manana and Stella Ndabeni, Julius Malema had suspended them building up to 2011. And today, they're the ones who are interfering. And young people are complaining about the role that they are playing at this conference. Because I remember when I saw the processes of this Congress of the Youth League, the steering committee, you have Mdu Manana, who is the DC. You have him again, who is the chair of the appeals committee. So you take your issues to Mdu Manana for appeals and for disputes, and then he must then be also the chair of the appeals committee. You know, so there's a lot of things I think the ANC is doing here and not actually giving young people space to lead.
And it has been 8 years. Now we finally have another conference taking place. You mentioned 2027, very interesting, because obviously as a party, the ANC has to think about, you know, what's going to happen after 2024. And there's going to be a lot of changes happening within the ANC structures, as you mentioned, beyond 2024, next year's elections. And there needs to be sort of a leadership succession in a way. So what do you predict for this, the leaders coming out of this conference? Who do you predict will be the top leadership structures within the ANC Youth League come Sunday?
We know that the IEC, or the Electoral Commission, pronounced of who has the reached threshold. Only one particular slate, which is called Economic Freedom or Death, which is led by Colin Malachi, has reached threshold. Now, vis-a-vis the credentials or the branches that they say has made it to conference, you need 25% of that for you to go to ballot. I don't see the other grouping actually reaching that threshold. So this is a repeat of 2015. And if you remember, in 2015, Mbalula was the convener of the task team. You had Natim Tetwa being the coordinator of the task team. That conference, where Colin Maina got elected as the leader of the Youth League, there was no contestation. They were merely appointed, and that's what made the Youth League weaker. And this is what they also want to do with this conference. That's why now young people are fighting for the soul of the Youth League. Those, especially, you have seen Sizopila, you know, this morning, even showing WhatsApp messages, you know, of how the audit report has not been presented to the national task team of the Youth League. You know, I know that even in the meeting with Mbalula on Thursday, you know, there were those who spoke out against the wrongdoings that Mbalula is doing. You know, so you have those young people who are saying enough is enough. We're going to fight for the soul of the Youth League. But it's clear that the ANC wants Colin Malachi, or let me say, not they say the ANC, it's clear that Mbalula wants Colin Malachi to be the president so that he can pronounce him.
Very interesting. We will definitely be discussing this and much more.